In 2006, one website accounted for nearly 80% of all social media traffic in the United States. It was bigger than Yahoo, bigger than Google. It was valued at over $500 million, boasted more than 100 million active users, and was seen as an unstoppable force shaping modern culture. 3 years later, it began a freefall so catastrophic that it would become a ghost town. This wasn't some niche startup. This was MySpace. And its story isn't just about losing to a competitor, it's a textbook case of self-destruction. For a brief, brilliant moment, MySpace was the internet. It was the digital home for an entire generation, a chaotic, customizable explosion of music, friendship, and self-expression. It had a massive head start, a user base that dwarfed every other platform, and the financial backing of a global media empire, News Corporation. Across the country, a much smaller, cleaner, and more exclusive network was slowly gaining ground. Facebook. At first, it was no real threat. MySpace was the Goliath of social media. So how did a platform with a 500 million user head start, a near monopoly on the market, and the backing of a media titan lose everything? How did MySpace not just fail to compete, but actively drive its users into the arms of its biggest rival? That's the question we're answering today. This isn't just a story about failure, it's the story of the MySpace self-destruct strategy. To understand the fall, we have to understand the acquisition that was supposed to make MySpace untouchable. In 2005, Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation bought MySpace for $580 million. On the surface, it was a genius move. But inside the corporate machine, a fatal philosophical clash was brewing. The strategy that followed can be broken down into 3 critical errors. The moment News Corp took over, the primary goal for MySpace shifted. It was no longer about user growth or innovation. It was about monetization. Specifically, how quickly they could make back that $580 million investment and then some. News Corp was an old media giant, and it applied an old media mindset to a new media platform. Their expertise was in selling ads, in newspapers, on television. They saw MySpace 100 million users not as a community to be nurtured, but as 100 million pairs of eyeballs to be sold to the highest bidder. Almost overnight, the platform became saturated with advertising. Huge, garish banner ads. Pop-ups. Video ads that would autoplay with sound. The user experience was sacrificed at the altar of quarterly revenue targets. Executives were given aggressive ad revenue goals, and they met them by plastering every available pixel with marketing. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg was taking the exact opposite approach. Facebook in its early days was famously minimalistic. Zuckerberg's focus was singular: user growth and engagement. He understood that the long-term value of the network was the network itself. Monetization could wait. He prioritized a clean, fast, and uncluttered experience. While MySpace pages became slow, buggy, and visually overwhelming, Facebook was a calm, orderly, and reliable alternative. MySpace was loud and chaotic. Facebook was quiet and efficient. Users began to feel that MySpace saw them as a product to be sold, while Facebook, at least initially, felt like a utility built for them. This was the first, and perhaps most critical, strategic blunder. MySpace chose short-term revenue over the long-term health of its user community. While the user-facing side of MySpace was being cluttered with ads, the back-end was crumbling under its own weight. MySpace was built quickly and chaotically. Its codebase was notoriously messy, a tangled mess that developers internally called spaghetti code. What does this mean in practical terms? It means that fixing one bug could create 3 new ones. Rolling out a simple new feature, like a news feed, could take months of development, while a nimbler competitor could do it in weeks. The platform was fundamentally unstable. Pages loaded slowly. The site crashed frequently. It was unreliable. This technical debt was a ticking time bomb. As the user base grew, the strain on the fragile infrastructure became immense. MySpace was simply not built to scale. Facebook, in contrast, was built with a disciplined, engineering-first culture. They invested heavily in a robust, scalable infrastructure from the beginning. They could innovate, test, and deploy new features at a speed MySpace could only dream of. When Facebook launched the game-changing news feed in 2006, it fundamentally changed how users interacted with the social network. It shifted the experience from actively visiting individual profiles to passively receiving a curated stream of updates. MySpace tried to copy it, but their version was clunky, slow, and poorly implemented. They were always one step behind, not because they didn't have good ideas, but because their technical foundation was too rotten to build upon. They were trapped in a prison of their own bad code, unable to evolve while the world changed around them. The final nail in the coffin was a complete failure of vision. What was MySpace? Was it a social network? A music discovery platform? A portal for entertainment and videos? It tried to be all of them, and ended up mastering none. Under News Corp, MySpace was pushed to become a broad media portal, a competitor to Yahoo or MSN. They wanted it to be a hub for everything, diluting its core purpose. This lack of focus was reflected in the product itself. It felt bloated and confusing. Facebook, on the other hand, had a laser-sharp focus. It was about one thing: connecting you with your real-life friends, using your real name. Their infamous real name policy was a strategic masterstroke. It created a foundation of trust and authenticity that MySpace, with its anonymous usernames and wild, customizable profiles, could never match. Parents, teachers, and eventually, older demographics felt safer and more comfortable on Facebook. It was predictable and standardized. Every profile looked the same, worked the same, and was tied to a real person. MySpace was the chaotic digital Wild West. Facebook was the clean, safe, gated community. As its user base aged, the appeal of Facebook's simplicity and authenticity grew. MySpace had positioned itself as a youth culture phenomenon, but it failed to create a platform that could grow up with its users. It was a digital fad, while Facebook was building a digital utility. So, when you put it all together, the picture becomes painfully clear. MySpace wasn't killed by Facebook. MySpace committed suicide. The fatal mistake wasn't a single bad decision. It was the core strategic philosophy installed by its corporate owners. They bought a thriving digital community and treated it like a struggling newspaper. They saw users as an audience to be monetized, not a community to be served. And that is the secret. The aha moment is realizing that MySpace failure was a direct result of prioritizing short-term revenue targets over its single most valuable asset, the user experience. They optimized for the advertiser, not the user. They loaded the site with intrusive ads that slowed it down. They neglected the crumbling technical foundation because fixing it wouldn't show up on a quarterly earnings report. And they lost sight of their core mission, trying to be an entertainment portal instead of perfecting the social connection that got them there in the first place. Facebook won not just by having a better product, but by having a better, more patient strategy. Zuckerberg understood that in a business built on network effects, the user experience is everything. If you lose the trust and daily engagement of your users, no amount of ad revenue can save you. MySpace didn't just lose its users, it sold them out. If you just had that aha moment with us, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to Strategy Unlocked for more deep dives into the decisions that build and break empires. Let us know in the comments, were you a MySpace user? The MySpace saga is more than just a history lesson. It's a timeless warning about the danger of a product-last mentality. It teaches us a fundamental business principle. You must be relentlessly focused on serving your core user. In the digital age, companies that annoy, exploit, or ignore their users for a quick profit are destined to be replaced by those who obsess over creating value for them. The moment a company views its customers as a resource to be harvested, rather than a community to be cultivated, it has already started its own self-destruct sequence. MySpace just happened to do it on a scale of 500 million users. If you learned something new, hit the like button and subscribe for more strategy breakdowns. And let us know in the comments, what company's strategy should we unlock next?